You've been told that you shouldn't be so selfish, that you shouldn't make any trouble, that you shouldn't take up so much space. But what if I told you that this is not just harmful, but destructive for you? People rely on you because you're always there to help, but deep down, you feel drained. You say yes when you mean no. You stay quiet to avoid conflict, and you push through the exhaustion just to keep the peace. And you're in this cycle that wears you down, leaving you frustrated, resentful, and disconnected from yourself. So now it's time to stop being nice and start being real. I show you how to reconnect to yourself so you can break free from all those patterns, set boundaries, and live a life that's true to who you are without guilt, without fear. So first, we need to understand, what does it mean to be too nice? A person that is way too nice focuses too much on the needs and desires of other people while sacrificing their own needs. And even worse, they confuse the needs of the other person with their own. And the most tricky part is that you are deceiving yourself without even noticing that you deceive yourself. I mean, being nice has many advantages on the surface level, like you avoid conflict with others, people tend to like you and trust you because you seem so selfless, and you are proud of your good person identity. And because of that, you don't have to face rejection and you feel needed. So the question is, why do you need to go to such length? Why do you need to be nice all the time? You probably had a parent who flew into a rage in unexpected moments, so you had to walk on eggshells. You had to try to keep the peace. Or you were, like me, a rebel and who had to learn the hard way that it is really not working for you to have the last word at the dinner table. So you had to take a lot of punishments, unexpected punishments, harsh punishments, and way too many. So that's why I have a very important message for you as a people pleaser and for those who make fun of them. You needed to do that to survive. Everything you did to survive. You have learned to be on high alert, to always feel the situation in order to protect yourself. Now, this behavior is like a program inside of you. It's a software that has been created many years ago, and you still use that software in your daily life, even though it doesn't serve you anymore. So when you are nice today, you are actually still afraid of punishment or rejections from people that are close to you, even though you don't have anything to fear of them anymore. So now, every time a situation is about to get tense, you will jump right in and try to ease the situation, even though there is no tension, because you have learned to be so alert that you might even get ahead of yourself, and there is no real danger. You cannot stand tension or the mere thought of it, because it reminds you of the threat at home. So you build this defense mechanism that looks very friendly and very helpful from the outside. And that's why it is so tricky, because this particular mechanism is very hard to see. You might even be secretly proud of being so nice because society often reinforces this behavior and it rewards it. I mean, people like you, people trust you, right? And just to be clear, when I say proud, I don't mean you're just walking around being super arrogant about it. What I mean is that you have a subtle sense of being a good person. This is so tricky about it. It is so easy to focus your attention on your actions and on other people's reactions because, of course, they are positive. I mean, of course, you are doing great things. You are a good person. You are helping others. Everybody likes you. This cannot be a bad thing, right? Well, it is if you only do this to protect yourself, because that means you actually suffer and you turn every relationship you have into a theater. Because these people, they don't see the real you. You don't act out of kindness. You act out of fear. You act from unconscious emotional needs, from a software that you don't even know exists. So Sure, the behavior might look good, but that makes it even worse because it is so hard to see what is actually underneath. So that's why it is so tempting to ignore what's going on inside of you. But this comes at a great cost. Obviously, people will take advantage of you. You will feel that people take advantage of you. Of course, your self-worth is tied to other people, so you always depend on other people's opinions, on other people's behavior, on their approval, and you will always be afraid to show your true self. So these are obvious reasons, but of course there's some much more deep stuff going on there, and that I want to talk to this, and I want to talk to you about this as well. You hide behind a false identity that will leave you unsatisfied in the long run, and you suppress certain sets of emotions to maintain your false identity. And with false identity, I mean this good person identity, which doesn't mean you're not a good person. I just mean you just keep up this nice, friendly mask, and this is not always your full, true self. You might be nice sometimes, but there's so much more that you just hide from yourself and from other people. So that's why I call it a false identity. Second, you lose touch with your own needs and desires, so you are never sure what makes you really happy. Third, you say yes to everything, which leaves you feeling exhausted or even resentful. Frustration will build up over time because you are not able to establish and maintain boundaries. Take it from someone who said yes all of his life, who didn't know what he wants himself, and who always wanted to be fine with other people, and who always wanted to do what the other people want to do. It is exhausting because you just turn away from your own self, from your own needs, and at some point you will just not, you might not even notice, but you get depressed, you get resentful, and which leads to the fourth point I want to make, and that is the resentment will begin to leak into your relationships, and they will feel inauthentic or even toxic. You might have noticed is that when you are not in a good place, you attract people who are often not good for you, who often help you to repeat old patterns, right? Like if you are being too nice, you will attract people who will take advantage of that. And as soon as you try to evolve, as soon as you try to maintain boundaries, these people might want to drop you. They might get resentful themselves, which leads to number 5. Over time, this constant suppression of your emotions can lead to mental and physical burnout. And of course, if you try to keep it all down there, at some point it needs to get out. You cannot turn away from it forever. It will come out, and it will come out at moments where you don't expect it and where you don't want it. So you will have to look at it, which we will discuss in this video in a minute. I get it. This sounds like a big package that you have to deal with, but believe me, I have been there. I have seen friends who have been there, and I know there is a way out. I know that you will be able to pull yourself out of there, and that you will be able to live an authentic life, to develop your true self, to recognize your true self. And I will discuss a very easy method with you today, a very effective one. And this is a very great start, and don't underestimate the power of this exercise. Even though it looks very simple, it will open your eyes. I cannot stress this enough. It is amazing. What we are about to do is what I call shadow work. I've done a video on that in the past, but I want to show you the exercise in context of, well, people pleasing and being too nice. And you can do it in just 4 steps. So it will not take you longer than half an hour of work. So what is shadow work? Of course, I can fill books with what shadow work is and how to actually do it. But just to keep it easy, the shadow in our case is all the feelings that you suppress in order to keep up your good person identity. So anger, resentment, assertiveness, all these things are stored within you, but you don't look at them anymore. And this is what we call the shadow. It's something that you are not aware of anymore. And this shadow is, even if it sounds like an enemy, it is not. It's not about getting rid of the shadow. The point is to acknowledge the shadow and see it and make it part of yourself again. Because all these emotions are not necessarily bad. It's not bad to be angry, but it's important to be aware of them and to make them part of your whole self, right? So you can be an authentic person. So the step number one is to recognize the shadow behind the niceness. So I told you already that being too nice is like a survival mechanism. And in order to make this mechanism work, you had to disown parts of yourself, like emotions like anger, assertiveness, or traits like rebelliousness. All these things that didn't serve you as a child, as a teenager, you push it away, you disowned them, and that's how you created your shadow. So you disowned this shadow so much that you're not even able to see it as part of yourself anymore. This shadow appears somewhere else where you don't expect it anymore, in others. Do you remember any situation where you have been triggered by a person that was way too confident, too loud, too assertive, too selfish? And did you feel like criticizing them? Maybe they have been too rude, too loud. How dare they? Do you think your reaction was a bit too strong, too intense? Because when you react intensely to situations like this, then chances are that this behavior of the other person mirrors something inside of you, even if you don't consciously recognize that. You usually see your shadow in other people, as crazy as this sounds, but other people act out what you don't allow yourself to act out. And of course, this makes you furious because they do what you don't allow yourself to do. Of course, that's pretty annoying. So in step number 2, you will describe this situation. Sit down, take a pen, or go to your laptop and write down the whole situation that triggered you. Because for now, you only have to sit down and describe the situation. Write down what triggered you and why. Describe the whole situation, describe the surrounding, describe what the person did, what the person said, what was so annoying about it, like you would describe it to a friend. I give you an example. There was this woman at the bar last night who just wouldn't stop talking. She was so loud, laughing over everyone, and constantly interrupting the conversation to make sure all eyes were on her. She kept sharing stories like she was the most interesting person in the room. Oh, it was so obnoxious. I couldn't stand how much attention she was trying to grab. Honestly, it made me want to leave. Step number 3 is speak with each other. So now you are going to write an imaginary dialogue between you and the person that triggered you. Now I know this step will feel very weird, especially if you have not done this before. But stay with me, trust the process. It will be extremely helpful for you. And remember, this is not about you talking to the real person there. You talk to an imaginary person on paper, right? So that's why this is so powerful. You talk to something inside of you, the trigger. So let us continue with the example of the woman in the bar. Why do you have to be so loud and obnoxious? Woman, because I'm here to have fun and I don't care what anyone thinks. Me, but you're making it impossible for anyone else to relax. Why can't you tone it down? Woman, why should I? I've spent too much of my life holding back just to make other people comfortable. Me, so you're just gonna make everyone uncomfortable instead? Woman, maybe, but at least I'm free to be myself. Why don't you try it? Me, I don't need to be loud and disruptive to feel free. Woman, are you sure? Or is that just what you tell yourself so you can stay small and avoid being noticed? Step number 4. It's time to embrace the shadow. So far, we observed our shadow from the distance. First, we described the situation in which we have been triggered. Second, we spoke to it. And now we are doing something that is even more challenging. We will step into the shadow's shoes and become it. Now you will embody the perspective of the person that triggered you. In this case, the loud woman at the bar. You will write a statement summarizing her perspective, but now you will say it as if it is true for you. Here's an example. I want people to notice me. I've spent so much time feeling overlooked. And now I just want to be seen. I'm not trying to bother anyone. I just don't want to feel invisible anymore. Being loud helps me to feel like I matter, like my presence is undeniable, and it scares me to think of going back to being ignored. Again, this might feel very weird to you if you do it the first time, but trust the process. Do it at least one time from step 1 to step 4, and do it with your own situation. This is only an example, so whatever I wrote down here, it doesn't need to apply to you. So just give it a shot and write the statement, read it out loud, and observe inside of you, how does it feel to say that? Is there resistance? Do you feel discomfort? Do you feel compassion? Whatever you feel is part of the work. But it is a crucial step for you to wake up and become the person you are supposed to be. Now, there will be many things you might be struggling with on this journey, not just with this exercise, but for afterwards. And I want to prepare you for what is ahead of you. So you know it is normal how you will feel now, how you might feel in the future, and it's normal to go through these obstacles. You might struggle with self-sabotage and self-deception. This is because you built this identity and it will be hard to let go of it. So you will keep on telling yourself stories why you should be nice. And you will feel it as well. You will feel that you need to be nice, right? So this is the program. It will play and play and play again and again. And this is part of the self-deception, because this identity wants to keep itself alive. So the shadow work helps to bring light to this mechanism, right? But it is sneaky. It will come back and it will try to deceive you. So become aware of this. You will face emotions that are strong and that might overwhelm you. During the shadow work, they might already appear, or during your inner work throughout the next weeks and months. But that's okay. It's okay. It's great. You need to know that it's great when these emotions come up. It might not feel great, but it is a very good thing because they have been bottled up inside of you for so long, which will also lead to a sense of losing control because you will feel overwhelmed more often. Situations will get out of hand because you are reconstructing yourself, kind of, right? You have to let go of this identity, which is usually part of being in control. So you will need to learn to let go and not and to feel comfortable of not being in control about everything that happens. And you will probably have difficulties to establish your own self-worth without needing the approval of other people, because you have been programmed to believe that your values are always defined by others. But of course, that's completely bullshit. Your true value comes from yourself. It's something that you cannot take or give. It is there no matter what you do. But it's a long journey to realize that. And here's a big one. Friends and family members might react allergic to you trying something new, trying to become a better person, a more whole person that is not just friendly and nice. They might be surprised, they might resist. And this is probably the hardest part because, sure, we are social beings and we want to be seen as nice and friendly. We want to be loved and liked and accepted. And that will make it very, very hard. Because the people that we have around us, some of them will say, well, what are you doing? Why are you, basically they will say like, why are you setting up boundaries just now? Like, where's this coming from? What are you up to, right? So be on your guard, because the people who will resist the most, who will make fun of you, who will overstep your boundaries once you set them, they are people you should, well, I'm not telling you what to do with them, but be careful and rather welcome people who accept you as the person that you want to become, a person with boundaries. But I guess I get it. This is a very hard thing to do. And if you do shadow work, you might become less nice, but you do become more kind. Kind people come from a place of authenticity. It's real, it's messy, and it has boundaries. But being nice, well, that's a performance that we put on to win approval. It's a mask, it's a theater, and the longer you wear this mask, the more it will suffocate who you really are. So start being nice to the most important person in your life, yourself. You might lose some people along the journey. You might. But these are people who benefited from you not having any boundaries, who benefited from you being so nice and so helpful, for you doing anything for them. And this might be hard for you to imagine, but when you do this shadow work and more inner work, you will notice that you don't need these toxic people in order to support you. You will find the strength within you to walk this path. And the beautiful thing is that you will not have to walk it alone. You will attract wonderful, beautiful people out there that are on the same journey towards authenticity, towards becoming whole, to heal, and who will welcome your boundaries, who have their own boundaries, right? And like that, you will become a more whole person with healthier and wholesome relationships. If you like this video, please leave a like and share this with a friend who might want to see this. See you next time.